Let me begin by saying congratulations to the class of 2016 of Huston-Tillotson University. I want to say thank you for inviting me, to President Colette Pierce-Burnett and to Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Archibald Van Poy, the talented faculty of Huston-Tillotson, a special congratulations. I come today bearing the thanks and appreciation of an entire city. And I want to let you know that I have received as mayor, I was going to say no greater honor. This is the greatest honor I have yet to receive as mayor of the city of Austin. You know, it's an honor to share this special day with all of you. I've come to have a real special place in my heart for Huston-Tillotson. A delegation of HT students and environmentalists met me in Paris when I was there in December to sign the International Climate Change Agreements for Cities. This spring I had the special privilege of throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game against Wiley. Now, throwing out the first pitch is not an easy thing to do. I played a little ball when I was growing up. I even had a tryout with the Pittsburgh Pirates, so I used to be able to throw pretty well. But throwing out one pitch in dress shoes and slacks, dress shirt, without properly warming up in front of a crowd that didn't show up to see you is a daunting challenge. Come to think of it, it's kind of like delivering a commencement address. But if I didn't throw a strike, I'm proud to tell you that I at least threw a no-hitter. So there's that. But we all know who this day is for, and it's not me. But lest you all as graduates get confused, it's not even mostly for you. I want you to take a moment to thank the real heroes today. If you would stand up, please, graduating folks, and look at your parents. I want you to stay standing for me for just a second here. To the moms and dads and grandparents, this is your day. You made this happen. Graduates, looking at your relatives, because I guarantee you there is no one happier for you than these folks right now. Your parents and relatives have the dizzying perspective of time. They have seen you in diapers, the outfits you wore on your first day of school, what you wore to your first prom. They see back in time to the very beginning of you and all the different paths that you took and could have taken. Yes, Lord. They watched you the first time you opened your eyes, and every time you have opened your eyes since over the last 20 or so years. And while you're standing, before I let you sit down, here's my first piece of advice. As you go through life, you have to capture moments. You have to live in the moment. You have to capture in your mind's eye to serve you forever. Because this day is going to become a blur even just a week from now. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to look around. I want you to look at everyone who is gathered here and how the crowd has spread to the right and to the left. Look and see that there are so many people here. It's spread to the upper deck. We have a second deck. And if you look to the right and to the left, we have triple deck attendance at today's graduation. This is a beautiful day. You have the bell tower of the university. Remember this moment in your mind's eye. And you can be seated. There are a few alumni I want to single out first. We have with us today my friend, my colleague on the council, and my sometimes teacher, Ms. Ora Huston, who is here celebrating her 50-year reunion with the class of 1966. Congratulations to her and her classmates. And there are two other alumni I want to acknowledge, Dr. Maxine Kelly Bowles and Dr. Wilhelmina E. Jones Perry, members of the class of 1944. But these gals are just teenagers. Compared to the other HT alum, I'd like to salute Mr. Ira Scott, 99 years young. You know, this school was a radical idea when it started long before even Mr. Scott was born. It was chartered less than a decade after the Civil War ended, and this meant that the first students at Tillotson were freed men and women. But the white churches that helped found the school really didn't know what to do with African American students. And this was not a settled question at the time. An early commencement speech delivered at a Tillotson graduation was called "The Possibilities of Our People," and it left open the question, and so did the curriculum. Some students were taught cooking and sewing and carpentry and how to be polite and kind in the company of whites. More advanced students took history and Greek and Latin and physics and trigonometry and philosophy and chemistry. Those students, those first graduates of this institution, became the first generation of teachers to the first generation of freed Americans. These teachers went out and answered the question for generations in this community about what was possible. It's easy to say that historically black colleges and universities create many leaders in the community, and that's not wrong. But in HT's case, that doesn't quite capture all of what happens here, because this school creates pioneers. For example, this school had a basketball coach that went on to play a little baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Apparently his tryout went a little better than mine did. And then there's Dr. Herman Barnett, Tuskegee Airman before he enrolled here, and in the 1940s he marched on the UT campus to protest segregation. And then in 1949 he integrated the University of Texas medical branch at Galveston, became a surgeon. That was more than 20 years before Ron Givens came to Huston-Tillotson. He became the first black Republican in the legislature since Reconstruction. And there were others, including Robert Stanton, a 63 graduate who became the first American director of the Park Service in the Clinton administration. Now, in case any of you are confused with me mentioning a Clinton administration, no, she hasn't been elected president yet. Hillary Clinton's husband was also quite accomplished. Now, the class of 2016 was in diapers when Bill Clinton left the White House, and with that mention, their parents, my peers, feel really, really old right now. But looking back in time makes us all dizzy. But if it's any comfort, Ira Scott thinks we all look like teenagers. But one thing is clear. From the first graduation shortly after emancipation, to Huston-Tillotson graduates occupying positions of real power in the legislature in the Clinton, Obama administrations, those who have worn the caps and gowns before you have paved a clear path of success for you. Behind you is a line of role models stretching almost to the Civil War. And in front of you, how you navigate the path called adulthood is something that each of us continues to figure out as we go. By now, I imagine that Ira Scott probably has it almost all figured out, but only almost. In a few minutes, you guys are going to line up, look for your parents in the stand, hear your names called, and then everything's going to move fast. You're going to walk across the stage, you're going to shake hands, you're going to take your diploma and try to remember to wave and smile at your parents so they can take a blurry picture of you. That will be the first of 60,000 pictures that are taken today. And for every single one of them, you're going to smile, okay? You're going to be patient. But let's go back up to the stage for just a second. That diploma that is being put in your hand is a certificate that you succeeded here and probably everywhere else you've been to that has led to this moment. You've probably been told that that diploma means you have an education, and an education can never be taken from you. And I can see by your reactions that you've heard that once or twice before, and see parents, they listen to you when you talk. Some of you seniors may have plans for your diploma. Maybe you imagine using it for a cushy six-figure job in an office where you can hang your diploma in an expensive frame, and there is nothing wrong with that. But seniors, remember the paths of success of your soon-to-be fellow alumni. Remember these pioneers who came before you, many of whom are sitting with you today. You got an education here at Huston-Tillotson, to be sure, but an HT graduate, especially because it is here in Austin, Texas, you got something even more exciting than that. As much as anything else, your diploma is a license to fail. Now I can see I just lost all the parents. I'm saying, don't worry, Mom and Dad, we're going to make some lemonade out of that lemon. But I want you guys to think about it, because we are sitting in Austin, Texas. This is one of the innovation capitals of the world. It's a city that leads Texas in patents and venture capital. There are more new startups in this city per capita than anywhere in the country and probably in the world. Innovation and creativity is in our city's water, and you've been drinking it for the last 4 years. True innovation and creativity does not take form by following the easy, well-established path. It comes from taking risks. It comes from being ready to try something new and different. It comes from putting yourself in the position where you might fail. The diploma that you're about to receive signifies that you are successful. And with this diploma, you never have to prove that again, especially to yourself. Inside your heart, you know that you are successful. And if you are sure of that in your heart, in the quiet moments when you are alone, just with yourself, that you are successful, then you are ready to step out and put yourself in the position where you might fail. To try to achieve something that is great or big or new, something that is a stretch or a challenge, something that might truly change your life, the life of your family or the life of others, something that might seem unobtainable, something that might seem a little scary, something that might not work. But let me also say that failing just for the sake of failing is not the goal here. The goal is to learn. Try something. Be ready to fail and then learn. Try again. Apply what you learned and be ready to fail again. And continue to learn. You know, and be safe. You know, I have always been a little suspect of those that succeed the first time they try something, because you can never be sure whether those people are good or if they're just lucky. Your generation, the generation of innovators, socially conscious innovators, is a gift to this world. My generation is too prone to follow set paths, too afraid to step outside the box, but your generation expects much and has grown up with and is comfortable with change and newness, and it is happening at dizzying speeds for the rest of us. Your generation has watched cell phones just happen. You have watched the internet being born. Change is your generation's normal. You know, when I went to college and I took chemistry, none of us were allowed to use calculators in our classroom because it gave an unfair advantage to those few of us that had calculators. So we were taught how to use slide rules. Y'all probably don't know what a slide rule is. Change has been happening fast. You expect change. And I expect you and now charge you with being part of that change. And to do that, you have to try new things. But trying new things and change does not happen without people that are willing to walk the high wire and sometimes without a net. This means you will sometimes fall. This means you will sometimes fail. And I'm here today to remind you that failing is okay so long as you learn quickly. If you learn from your failures and then act, it is not your failures that will define you. It will be the ultimate fruit of what you learn. The iterative problem-solving process is the core to new innovation, to new startups. You try something, you learn, you adjust. You try again, you learn, you adjust. You try again, you learn, you adjust. It's why Austin became a tech center. Now, if you talk to the folks in the tech community, they will tell you that if what you're doing feels easy, then you're probably doing it wrong. And if you ask them how they achieve success, they will describe the painful path of failure that got them to where they are. I mean, look at IBM. Now, we could look at IBM as a company that builds supercomputers. Or we could look at it as an IBM as a company that failed at doing what it initially set out to do. Do you know what IBM initially set out to do? They made cheese slicers. That's how IBM started, cheese slicers. We're expecting a little more of you than hanging your diploma on the wall at your office at the cheese slicer factory. But your diploma is your permission slip to also not succeed at the first thing you do. Your Huston-Tillotson diploma is an authorized, official, certified authorization to try, to fail, to learn fast, to adjust. This is the charge that they are putting into your hands today when they hand you your Huston-Tillotson diploma. Pioneers cut their own path. A leader learns from failure, adjusts, and presses on. It was Denzel Washington that said, "Many have the skills and talents to be successful, but few have the guts to fail." And put another way, I don't want to see you succeed at selling cheese slicers. Fail learn, experience, and then go out and change the world. That's how you make good on the down payment of the opportunities that have been made over and over again by those that will soon become your fellow alum. And to be clear, I am not talking about having grit or facing adversity, which is also good advice, but not today's. I am talking about the absolute value that can be found in not meeting your vision the first time you try. So when people ask you what the speaker spoke about at your commencement address, I want you to remember that I said, get out there and become the biggest failures you can as quickly as you can. And put another way, don't be scared. Know that you have the freedom to try, to take risks, to become true agents of change. That is what your diploma entitles you to today. Now, when I discussed this commencement address with my wife, Diane, she gently suggested that it might be a bit of a downer on such an optimistic, sunny, bright day to have some guy who just turned 60 talking to college seniors about failure. But my daughters told me that I wasn't saying anything different than someone else has said recently about turning lemons into lemonade. So I'm suggesting that you run toward risk, embrace the lessons of failure, and maybe it sounds better when someone else says, I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep running, 'cause a winner don't quit on themselves. Graduates of the class of 2016, I urge you to riot through the borders of your careers, not least because no one ever went wrong taking advice from Beyonce. I am so honored to play a role in this special day, so please accept my heartfelt congratulations. We are all expecting a lot from you, and I can't wait to see you get started. Thank you.